Hello dears, another day, another video. I'm starting my day recording the image of my beautiful and handsome son Holden Oliver 9 eating his afternoon snacks. It's past lunchtime and he's eating bananas, his absolute favorite fruit. If he could, he would eat that every day, all day, for every meal. I cut the banana in very thin slices and put it in front of him, wishing for him to take it and put it in his mouth by himself. So far he doesn't do that, so I help him. Hopefully soon he can do it by himself, just to have a little bit of independence and give mama a little break. Another day, another story. The pool cleaner are here. We spent so far thousands of dollars and it's been 2 months and they haven't cleaned our pool yet. We're kind of giving up. Wasted so much money and we're thinking we're just gonna cover the pool and next year we're gonna open it up earlier instead of opening up in spring, probably end of winter, so we'll have ample time to clean the pool. Such a bitter day, such a bitter news. I'm thinking to make something sweet. We have so many eggs, 4 eggs every day, and I need to find a different way to use it. So I was thinking I'll just make a egg pudding. So I took 4 room temperature eggs and I mixed them in the bowl. You guys could use a hand mixer, but since I had the blender near me, I'll just use that. It's the same thing. To that, I'll add a whole can of condensed milk. I put the jar in a warm water for a while, so it's easier to take it out. And then a tablespoon of heavy whipping cream, and to that, I will add a 1/4 cup of full cream milk, and then I'm going to mix everything together. And before that, I'll add just a splash of vanilla essence. There you go. It's not even a teaspoon, it's less than a teaspoon. And as a last touch, I'm gonna add just a pinch of salt, kosher salt, to balance the sweetness. I'm going to blend everything together. And after that, I'm going to put in this baking pan. I already added my homemade caramel syrup on the bottom of it, and I'm gonna strain it just to make sure there is no clumps of eggs or any other impurities, so the solution is gonna come out, it's gonna be smooth. After putting it in there, I'm gonna cover the pan with some foil paper. So baking this it's tricky, it's not hard. I'm going to put this small tray inside a bigger tray, and to that tray I'm going to add hot boiling water, and that is going to cover 3/4 of the small baking pan that's going to be inside of it. So it is going to bake on a steam bath actually. So with the help of the steam, it's going to bake the pudding inside the oven. After putting the hot water, I'm going to put the baking tray inside the oven. And my first intention was to bake it for 30 minutes, for 350 degrees, 30 minutes. But obviously it didn't work. I ended up baking it for 1 hour. And I also increased the temperature after that. I put it in 370. And my pudding looks ready. It is really hot at this point. Not only the tray, but the boiling water is really hot. So you guys have to be careful when you take out your small baking pan from the big one. So don't even touch the water. I put a toothpick inside and it came out dry. If it came out wet, that means the pudding wasn't ready. It needs to cook a little bit more. After taking it out, I chilled it inside the room until it reached room temperature. After that, I put it inside the refrigerator. It needs to cool for 1 hour minimum. You can keep it overnight. It's gonna make it firmer, but 1 hour is fine. And you cut the edges so it separates from the baking tray. And I made a mistake. I took a plate which was smaller than the tray, so I had to change it. So you put a bigger plate on top of the tray, and you flip the tray. And just to make sure that it falls, just tap lightly on the top of the baking tray. Since there's a caramel syrup on the bottom, it should slide out just fine. And once you take out the baking tray, look, such a beautiful and tasty looking dessert. It was firm, and yet it had some air bubble inside, which made it quite fluffy, and it tasted really good. It was too sweet for my taste. Probably next time I'm gonna put more milk. So because the whole can of the condensed milk, it made really sweet. But my husband loved it. He basically ate all of it, which is fine. Now for dinner, I'm going to make a Mexican dish, which is called birria taco. It's my absolute favorite Mexican dish, and I make it quite often, twice a month sometime. So I'm going to put some ice in a bowl. Then after that, in that bowl, I'm going to put some cow feet that my husband bought the same day from the Mexican grocery store in town. The cow feet were cut with a saw, a meat cutting saw. So usually it has the bone dust on it still attached, which like if you cook just washing it is not good. You're gonna taste those gritty bone parts. So I put the cow feet in an ice water bath, and I leave it in there until all the ice melts, but the water stay very cool, so it stay hygienic. And after that, I wash it 3 times. All the pieces of bone form a sediment on the bottom, so it's easier to clean and it's not gonna have any grittiness to it. After cleaning the bones thoroughly, I put it in a very big, heavy Dutch oven, cast iron type of pan with a heavy bottom. And after that, as a meat, I'm gonna add a big chuck roast, and to that big chuck roast, I'm going to add chicken bouillon, which is very salty, so you have to be careful how much you add. I always suggest you start with a small amount, and once the broth start boiling, and if you feel like you need more salt, instead of adding salt, add more chicken bouillon, which gives a very nice umami flavor to the soup. I started with 2 big tablespoons of the chicken bouillon, and after that I added room temperature water. Like you need to add as much water as you need to cover the whole meat and bones. So I had to add water twice. After adding enough water, I'm going to cover that and cook it for about 30 to 40 minutes. To that, I'm going to add a whole onion, a big onion. I cut it in 4 parts, but I did not detach it completely, so the onion's gonna stay intact. And I'm gonna add it inside a pouch because I need to fish this out later, and adding it to the pouch is gonna be easier because I just have to lift up the pouch. Inside with the onion, I'm also going to add 13 to 15 cloves of garlic, large cloves of garlic, and I'm going to put that inside the pan with the broth and the meat, and I'm going to cover it. And I think I cooked it for 30 to 40 minutes until the onion and the garlics were very soft and the juices infused in the soup. While the soup is boiling on the side, I'm going to cut and clean some dry chilies. I'm going to use some ancho chilies, some poblano chilies, and serrano chilies. This is, I think, the ancho chilies. I'm cutting the stem and I'm cutting the chili in half, and I'm taking out all the seeds. This chili is not hot, it's not spicy at all, but if you keep the seeds, and I know many people do it, to me it gives a bitter aftertaste, so I rather not have it. I just open it up and clean and throw off all the chili seeds from the poblano and the serrano peppers. they're dry, so it's really easy to take them off. I added 3 the poblano, and I added 3 serrano chilies. They're quite big, and for the amount of soup I'm making, this is enough. This is the poblano, dry poblano pepper. It has a really nice smoky flavor to it. As I said, those two don't have any spice to them. They're not spicy at all, but they have a unique flavor that you need to add to your soup to have that original authentic birria taco flavor. And then in the end, this is small chilies. It's the serrano pepper. Not serrano, I'm sorry, I cannot remember the name of the pepper, but it's just dry red chili. These are spicy, and I'm going to keep the seed for this chilies because it's going to give a little bit of kick to the sauce. After that, cleaning all the chilies, I'm going to put it in a saucepan, and I'm going to cover the chilies with water, and I'm going to let it boil until they're soft. It took me about 15 minutes to cook down the chilies. After 30 to 40 minutes, I took out the onion and the garlic, and I'm going to add it to a container. And with the onion and the garlic, I'm going to add the chilies as well. I'm taking out the bottom part of the onion that was inside the pot, so I can blend it and I don't have to put that inside. There you go. After gathering the chili, the onion and the garlic, I'm going to get the chili that I boiled in the saucepan, and I'm going to add that with the rest of the ingredients. Some people add the juice, the water that they boil the chili with. I just throw it because it looks very concentrated and it has a very bitter taste to it. If you want to, you can add it on at your own risk, but I just throw it. And to that, all the ingredients, I'm going to add half a cup of water, which is going to help me blend everything very smoothly. There you go. I'm going to blend everything with a hand mixture, the hand blender, I'm sorry. After blending everything thoroughly and very smoothly, I'm going to add this to the soup. You can do another step if you would like. You can strain the solution that I blended, the chilies, onions, and the garlic, in a strainer. So if there's any part or chunk of the chili that did not blend, is going to get stuck in that, and you don't have to taste it in the soup. But I make sure to blend it really well, really finely, so I just don't strain it. So I just keep this extra step, less dishes for me to wash. I'm going to add everything to the pan, and also I put some water in the container to wash all the remaining solution that I had inside the container. And I'm going to boil the meat and everything inside that chili paste solution for another 1 hour or 2 until the chuck roast that I put in is gonna become so soft that you can pull it off with a fork. I forgot to add the most important ingredient. It's Mexican oregano. Without this, it does not have the same taste. You have to add Mexican oregano. I just added 1 pinch. A little goes a long way. It has been 2 hours, and my chuck roast is very tender, and you can pull it apart with a fork. And I'm gonna give this to my husband because I need him to pull the meat apart so I can assemble the tacos with it. I was showing my husband the consistency and the softness of the cow feet. He likes it very soft, like it's so tender you can pull it apart with a finger. And he said he wasn't soft enough, so I was gonna cook it an extra hour. Here's my husband helping me shredding the beef. He was watching TV and shredding in the couch at the same time. So off camera on the soup, I added some hominy, which is it's kind of corn, peeled corn, and I added a can of corn and also kidney beans, and I boiled the soup together. I'm skimming the fat from top of the soup, and I'm also taking a little bit of soup with it. I'll show it to you later why I'm not going to throw it. I'll show you why I need to skim this and set it aside. After that, I'm going to cut the garnish, which is going to be cilantro, lots of cilantro. You can never go wrong with cilantro. It's a controversial ingredient. Some people hate it, some people love it. In our family, we happen to love cilantro. So I'm gonna cut a whole bunch of cilantro in fine pieces. Once I'm done chopping the cilantro, I'm going to chop some red onion. You can use a white onion as well, but it goes best with red onion, and I think the red onion have a crunchier texture and more potent, which is delicious if you add it in the soup or the tacos. And my husband, obviously, he says if it's not red onion, it does not taste the same to him. So yeah, I'm gonna cut finely in a small square shapes my red onions. I'm going to add 1.5 red onion. I realized after peeling them, the 2 red onions were too much. And I'm going to mix my onion and the cilantro together. Here in a grilling pan, I'm grilling all my tacos. I'm going to now show you how to assemble the birria tacos. So remember that fat and the soup that I set aside in a bowl. You dip your tortilla in it. I'm using corn tortilla. My husband and I used to love to put flour tortilla, but we ate some corn tortilla taco in Louisiana, New Orleans, and we loved it, and we were like, let's try it. It was our first time making it with the corn tortilla at home, and we absolutely loved it. It was delicious. So you dip your tortilla inside this oil and soup solution, and you fry both sides in the pan until one side become crispy. Once you fry one side crispy, you flip it and you add cheese. I'm adding a mix of Mexican cheese. It was a 4 different type of cheese blend. You add it in the bottom, and after adding the cheese to all of your tortilla, you add your shredded meat on top of it. Do not add too much, otherwise you won't be able to close your tortilla. So after adding the shredded beef, I'm going to add to that my mixture of red onion and finely chopped cilantro. And after adding that, I'm going to put another layer of cheese. Remember, you need cheese in the bottom and in the top. This is the ingredient that's going to help you seal your tortilla, because it's going to melt on the top and the bottom, and melting it is going to seal your tortilla and help not to open when you flip it or even when you eat it. You need 2 spatula, 2 spoon, or like 2 something, because with one you flip it, and with the other spatula or fork, you just push the ingredients that came out, push it inside, and like I said, the cheese gonna melt and help seal everything together. Just like so, you fry both sides until they're crispy. So it's going to be crispy on the outside, and it's going to be soft and gooey on the inside.
Ew. This is fire.
Like it?
I love it. It's so good.
Thank you. Well, my husband loved it, and don't forget, dip your tortilla inside the soup, which is the best part. And it's night, we ate, and we're all tired. We're gonna take a long sleep. Hopefully my son will allow me to sleep tonight. Thank you for being with me and watching my video. Please, everybody, stay safe.